President Trump stands up for the Proud Boys as militia membership surges. In this video, we're going to take a look at how Trump told the Proud Boys to stand down and stand by, how the leftist media predictably reacted, and how Trump's support for the surge in militia membership is being reciprocated by their massive support for him. You're not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone. Patriots all across the globe. Dr. Steve here with you. Great to be with you as always if this is your first time with us. And you're looking for some daily encouragement and optimism as well as some analysis to help you make sense of these crazy times. You have certainly found your oasis in this channel. We post 2 videos a day analyzing current events, some super awesome conservative trends so we can all live in the present in light of even better things to come. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. It'd be an absolute privilege to have as a regular part of this channel where each and every day we together celebrate the inevitable collapse of left-wing globalism and the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age. And speaking of a new conservative age, if you're looking for an encouraging and hopeful alternative to all the fake news that's being spewed out there on a daily basis from the leftist likes of CNN and MSNBC and the New York Times and the Washington Post, you're going to find no better antidote than what's in the pages of my book, The Return of Christendom. Now, don't take my word for it. Just read through all the reviews on Amazon. There's over 150 of them, and you'll see how this book just cuts through all of the cynicism and despair that we so often feel living in this crazy globalist world. And page after page, I give you all the data and statistics and indicators that show nothing less than the rise of a new conservative Christian majority emerging throughout the United States and Europe, and it's already transforming the world map into a more nationalist, populist, and traditionalist world. And if you click on that link below, we're offering it for a limited time at a 50% discount. That's right, 50% off. So do not wait. This is a limited time offer. Click on that link and get your book at a super discount today and arm yourself with the information you need to crush fake news once and for all. All right, let's dive right in here. Leftist liberals have gone absolutely hysterical today, the day after the clash in Cleveland where President Trump utterly mauled Joe Biden. Again, if you want a more detailed analysis of why Trump was by far and away the clear winner of that debate, check out the video that I just posted up on the debate. You're not going to want to miss that, especially in light of some of the nonsense that actually passes as political analysis today. But part of the hysterics that leftists are going through actually involves President Trump's refusal to disavow armed militia organizations such as the Proud Boys. Now, Chris Wallace, who's the moderator of last night's debate, who, by the way, he's getting torched from both sides today, but particularly from the left. The left is livid that he allowed Trump to interrupt and talk over Biden so much. But of course, for those of us on the right, Wallace was such an obvious shill for all things leftist, globalists, and the political class. Wallace clearly belonged. He would better serve his audience if he were on CNN. His audience is emphatically not watching Fox News. I have no idea why he's on Fox. Keep in mind that he replaced Tony Snow, who was a brilliant commentator and political analyst who actually grounded his analysis in reality and not in the globalist perspective of our ruling class like Chris Wallace consistently does. I mean, Fox executives are simply not doing themselves any favors. They're not doing their stockholders any favors by putting Chris Wallace at the helm. He's a disaster. But regardless, Wallace directly asked Trump if he would publicly denounce white supremacists and militias that have been responsible for incidents of violence and death at rallies during the last few months. It was an outrageous question given the damage, the billions of dollars of damage inflicted in our nation's cities by left-wing BLM and Antifa radicals. Again, this is the world according to our political class. It's technically known as virtual politics, practiced by what are called political technologists, right? Are you familiar with these terms? It's very similar to spin doctors that we're all too familiar with, right? But it's far more pernicious, far more choreographed than spin doctors. What we have to understand, and this is important, let me take a second here. The mainstream media has operated by what scholars call agenda setting theory, okay? Agenda setting theory is a field of study that explores the influence of the media on setting the political agenda and politicizing political causes and policies. It's long been recognized that what the mainstream media focuses on, or what current events get attention, is a major driver of what counts as a viable political agenda, which of course is always radical left. This is why we're not exaggerating in the least when we refer to reporters as left-wing activists disguised as journalists. They are political agenda setters. They know it. That's why they get into journalism. The problem, of course, is the corruption comes about when they deliberately disguise this agenda setting as simply impartial, objective, disinterested news that's inherently agenda-free or politically neutral. But it goes deeper than that. And that's where you get this whole notion of virtual politics and political technologists. What modern-day political technologists do is they go beyond simply promoting their own favored candidates or causes. Instead, they actually manufacture entire political narratives, including narratives for their opposition, all ultimately in an effort to keep themselves in power. This is what the British scholar Andrew Wilson writes about in his book on virtual politics. Political technologists act, in his words, as political meta-programmers who basically construct the whole narrative by which our politics operates, including their opposition. So the mainstream media doesn't just provide a narrative of support for the far left and for cultural Marxists and for Democrats and the like. They also provide the definitive narrative for their political opponents. So in Chris Wallace's world, as a political technologist, as a purveyor of virtual politics, Wallace defines armed militias like the Proud Boys as every bit as responsible for the violence and destruction and looting that have been undeniably committed by people who couldn't even spell the word Republican. Okay? The Proud Boys have about as much to do with the violence that swept across our nation's urban areas as Joy Behar has to do with critical thinking. Okay? And yet in Wallace's world, and the world of the political technologists who define the narratives of our politics, they're every bit as much to blame for torching police precincts and establishing Marxist and neo-segregated circuses like the Chaz Autonomous Zone and the like. But alas, again, I digress. So Wallace asked Trump if he'll disavow white supremacists and armed militias that have been inflicting all this violence. And Trump was like, sure, I already have. And I'm willing to do that. But I would say almost everything that I see in terms of all the destruction is from the left wing, not from the right. And then look at this from ABC News. Trump repeatedly didn't answer the question and contended with no citation that the violence came from left-wing groups. No citation, no proof. In other words, now keep in mind, ABC, right? These are the guys who pushed the whole Russian collusion hoax on us for 3 years. No citations, no proof, anonymous sources. So they continue to demonstrate just how utterly absurd they are. But Wallace kept pressing, and he asked about the Proud Boys. And Trump said, and I quote, "To the Proud Boys, I say, stand back and stand by." Stand back and stand by. So don't get involved in any violence or provocation. But don't go anywhere. Make sure you stand by because things may be boiling over. It was a pretty bold statement. And again, one that the mainstream Marxist media, the political technologists, exploited to try to push their own pathetic leftist narrative. Before we get into how they did that, I want to make sure that you all know that we have tons of special videos that are available only to members of our Turley Talks Insiders Club, which you can join at a special low price that we're offering for a limited time by clicking on the link below in the pinned comment section. Now, if you want more access to me and to a global network of conservatives all over the world, you will definitely want to become a Turley Talks Insiders Club member. You can get all kinds of deep dive videos, merch, benefits, which you're going to absolutely love, and all for an all-time low price, but it's a limited time offer, so don't wait. Make sure to click on that link below and become a Turley Talks Insiders Club member today. All right, so Trump defends the Proud Boys, and ABC News responds by immediately turning to the reliable leftist organizations for their all too characteristically virtue signaling denunciation. So they went to the ultra-left grievance group, the Southern Poverty Law Center, right, to comment. They went to the NAACP. By the way, the SPLC is thoroughly discredited now. Even USA Today has referred to the SPLC as a scam. The SPLC is perhaps more than any other organization turned grievance politics into a lucrative industry, a very lucrative industry. The SPLC rakes in tens of millions of dollars a year smearing conservative organizations and causes. But that doesn't matter to the left-wing shills, the activists disguised as journalists over at ABC. You see, and this is all part of the theater of the absurd in terms of modern globalist politics. I mean, I could write a textbook on it. It's so predictable. A moderator asked Trump a question that really is a sneer in disguise, like what we see in all the press conferences. So-called reporters don't ask questions. They heckle. They heckle the president under the veneer of a question, but the insinuation is already there. I mean, they're rhetorical questions, right? A rhetorical question is one that has the answer inherent in the question. So Trump, in turn, says something that confirms the accusation that's inherent in the question, and then these journalists go to so-called reputable civil rights organizations for comment and denunciations. An old playbook. It's not working anymore. Now, in terms of Trump's support of the Proud Boys and of militias as a whole, again, we have to understand the dynamics that have been operative here over the last several months since the riots began. Citizen militias are precisely what stand in between social chaos and the breakdown of law enforcement. There have been a number of articles reporting on the fact that thousands of both active and retired law enforcement officers have joined militia organizations over the last few years, and we can only imagine that that number has swelled given how lawmakers were so quick to disavow the police and start spewing out their defund and disband nonsense. This anti-cop culture so pervasive on the left must only be contributing to the surge of militias throughout the nation. This is a surge that has been going on for some time now. Back in 2017, PBS did a report highlighting a noticeable surge in armed militia activity and membership. Today, there are over 500 militia groups in the United States and growing. It's more than double the number back in 2008. And the massive enthusiasm that law enforcement has for these pro-Trump militias seems to be taking the media off guard. Again, they really don't know how to interpret this. They don't have the frames of reference to make sense of the rise in popularity of armed militias and their unwavering support of President Trump. And as it turns out, his unwavering support of them. Now, before you go, make sure to like this video, comment down below, and subscribe to my channel. And you will definitely want to check out my latest video I just uploaded on how President Trump did, in fact, absolutely dominate the first debate against the fledgling and frustrated Joe Biden as the left is having a collective meltdown. You're not going to want to miss that. So make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there. God bless.